This hearing got uncomfortable fast. Senator Mark Kelly pressed Pete Hegseth on military spending, war strategy, and controversial comments that many say crossed a dangerous line. And Hegseth's response only escalated the tension.
Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Secretary Hegseth, safe to say that our weapons like SM-3s, Tomahawks, Patriot missiles have capabilities that are unmatched. That's why they cost a lot, take a long time to produce. Your budget requests $31.8 billion to expand production capacity for critical missile stockpiles. Is that correct? 31.8?
I'm looking at $53 billion for munitions acceleration over 14 critical munitions, of which the ones you listed are a part.
Okay,
so
53.
I believe more than that. Yes, sir.
More than 20 billion more. So we've been working together to grow the industrial base because we're all worried about how our stockpiles would hold up in a conflict against China. Since the start of this war, you've made it a point to highlight the number of strikes the U.S. military is carrying out, citing that more than 13,000 targets had been struck as of April 8th. On March 2nd, you said, and this is a quote, "This was a massive, overwhelming attack across all domains of warfare, striking more than 1,000 targets in the first 24 hours. On March 10th, you said, "Yet again, our most intense day of strikes inside of Iran." On April 6th, you said, and this is another quote, "The largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation." Your department has released video after video of things blowing up. None of us doubt the strength of the U.S. military and their ability to do hard things. I understand that better than anybody. The questions we should be asking and answering are, what does this cost us and what does it achieve for the American people? Many of these strikes use our best weapons, and we're using a lot of them and a lot of interceptors. Open source reporting has estimated that the military has used an outrageous number of Patriots. I'm not even going to say the numbers, but a lot of Patriots, a lot of THAAD rounds, JASSM-ER, Tomahawks, very expensive, exquisite. We can't make these munitions overnight, and it's clear from your budget request that you know that. Can you tell us how many years specifically is it going to take to replace these systems?
Senator, thank you for the question. I would defer to the comptroller on the amount because I think it's a lot higher than 53. If you look at long-range fires, JASSMs, LRASMs, Tomahawks, we're looking at $238 billion.
Okay,
we're looking at $40 billion for hypersonic. So I actually think it's closer to $330 billion in munitions.
Okay, how many years to replenish? That's the question.
I think that's exactly the right question, too, Senator, because the time frame we were existing under was unacceptable.
Okay, well,
and what this budget does, months and years, fast.
Years.
I mean, we're building new plants in real time.
So just to replace what we have expended.
I said months.
And then you said years.
It depends on the weapon system, but 2 to 3, 4x of what we have today.
Okay.
So yes, we're dealing with a reality under the previous administration of what they sent to Ukraine and what they allocated elsewhere.
Okay, I got it. So we fired years worth of munitions. And it is clear that these are being expended to try to achieve some objectives. That was the plan. But, Mr. Secretary, this war is stuck. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. The Iranian regime is in place. The nuclear material still in their hands. Americans are being crushed by higher costs. And it's not clear to them at all what the goal of this war is. So, I've got about a minute, and I want to go to another topic. I saw your hearing yesterday, and I'm going to give you one more chance to address a question here. It's my understanding that the definition of no quarter is that legitimate offers of surrender will be refused or that detainees will be executed. Is that your understanding of the definition?
The only entity that would kill detainees or target civilians is the Iranians, and they're the ones being crushed.
So
the Iranian military and their military capabilities.
The question is, do
I
you
disagree
understand,
completely with your articulation.
No, do you understand the definition that I just read you? Because that's the definition from your department's Law of War manual. Is that your understanding? And I'm gonna just get to the point here.
We fight to win and we follow the law, Senator.
Okay, so your quote was, "We will keep pushing, keep advancing, no quarter, no mercy for our enemies." And yesterday, you did not clarify whether you stand by this statement. So I'm going to give you another opportunity to clarify if that is what you meant. Do you stand by that statement you made on March 13th?
We have untied the hands of our warfighters. We fight to win, and we follow the law.
Okay, so you're not clarifying. So you stand by that statement. So you're the Secretary of Defense. The things you say matter. And your response here, right now, makes it clear to the American people exactly why you are not right for this job.
It makes it clear to our enemies, Senator.
What happens when a U.S. Senator with first-hand military experience publicly questions whether the Secretary of Defense is saying the right things at the right time? That's exactly what unfolded during this tense hearing. As Senator Mark Kelly confronted Pete Hegseth over America's military readiness, weapons stockpiles, and comments that Kelly suggested could send the wrong message to both allies and enemies. Now, before this exchange turned personal, the hearing actually started with something much bigger: America's ability to sustain a major conflict. Kelly, a former Navy combat pilot and astronaut, focused heavily on one issue many Americans rarely think about until a crisis happens: how quickly the United States can replace the advanced weapons it uses during war. And this matters more than people realize. The U.S. military relies on highly sophisticated systems like Patriot missiles, Tomahawks, and long-range strike weapons that are incredibly powerful, but also extremely expensive and difficult to produce. These are not the kind of systems you can simply manufacture overnight. In many cases, replacing stockpiles can take years, not months. That concern became central to Kelly's questioning. He pointed to the increasing pace of military operations and repeated public statements highlighting the scale of U.S. strikes. His argument was straightforward. Nobody doubts America's military strength, but strength alone doesn't answer the bigger question: what exactly are Americans getting in return for the cost? And this is where the conversation shifted from military capability to accountability. Kelly repeatedly pressed for clarity on timelines. If America is rapidly using some of its most advanced munitions, how long would it actually take to replenish those weapons if a larger conflict were to erupt? Especially one involving a major power like China, a concern lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have increasingly raised. Hegseth defended the administration's budget priorities, emphasizing investments in expanding weapons production and increasing industrial capacity. His message was clear: the Pentagon is trying to fix problems that have been building for years, while also preparing for future threats. But for Kelly, the concern wasn't just spending, it was strategy. He openly questioned whether the current military campaign was producing measurable results, pointing to continuing instability, rising costs, and uncertainty about long-term objectives. In many ways, this reflected a larger frustration often heard in Washington whenever military operations drag on. What is the actual end goal? Then came the moment that changed the tone of the hearing completely. Kelly shifted to another topic: comments Hegseth had previously made using the phrase "no quarter, no mercy for our enemies." And this wasn't just political wordplay. Kelly referenced the Pentagon's own Law of War standards, raising concerns over how such language could be interpreted. To understand why this became such a tense moment, context matters. In military and legal terms, no quarter has historically been associated with refusing surrender or showing no mercy to enemy combatants, language that can carry serious implications under international law if interpreted literally. Kelly wanted a direct clarification. Did Hegseth mean those words literally, or was it simply tough rhetoric? But instead of directly addressing the question, Hegseth repeatedly emphasized that U.S. forces follow the law and fight to win. While supporters may see that as staying focused on mission and strength, critics could argue that avoiding a direct answer only amplified the concern. And that's when Kelly delivered the moment that likely stuck with viewers the most. The things you say matter. It was a striking line, not just because of the criticism itself but because of who it came from. Kelly isn't simply a politician weighing in from the sidelines. He's someone with military experience who understands how words from top defense leaders can echo far beyond Washington. For military allies, public statements can shape confidence. For adversaries, they can send signals, intentional or not. And for troops carrying out missions on the ground, leadership language can influence how America's objectives are understood. By the end of the exchange, the disagreement had become bigger than one phrase or one hearing. It turned into a broader debate about leadership, military messaging, accountability, and what Americans should expect from the officials making life-and-death decisions on national security. So what do you think? Was Senator Mark Kelly right to demand a direct answer? Or was Pete Hegseth simply refusing to get pulled into political traps during a public hearing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy in-depth political breakdowns that go beyond the headlines, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned to Capitol Lens for more powerful congressional moments and the stories behind them.